Yes, guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan, and today we're going to be talking about why we crave junk food and how it impacts our health. So, the food palatability reward hypothesis. I know it's a mouthful, so moving forward throughout this entire video, we're just going to refer to this as the FPRH. Now, this suggests that highly palatable, calorie-dense processed foods activate the brain's reward system. All of this leads to cravings, overeating, and potential weight gain. So, look at all these foods at the picture shown above. Donuts, pizzas, burgers, fries, chicken wings, all these foods, they're not inherently bad for you. They are just very easy to overeat. And on top of that, they're also very calorically dense, and overdoing it on the calories is the bad part. No food in specific is good or bad for you. Like, yes, there are certain foods that have more vitamins and minerals and are just like more valuable than other foods. But the real danger is overeating on calories, which is what causes weight gain. A calorie surplus is what's going to gain weight. And if you consistently stay in that surplus for months and years on end, you're going to gain a lot of body fat. That in itself is really unhealthy. But these hyper palatable foods, as listed above, just make it a lot easier to be in that calorie surplus because they're so tasty and they're so easy to overeat. And so the taste, the smell, the texture make all these foods so enjoyable. You have to keep in mind, right, that all these fast food restaurants, these fast food companies, they literally have engineers, these scientists who are working day and night to prepare these foods in a tasty and the most pleasurable way possible. And not just, this goes beyond the taste and the smell. Like the smell of pizza, the taste of pizza, like it's amazing. But the texture in your mouth, like think of eating like a chocolate chip cookie. It's nice and gooey on the inside and soft, and then it's like nice and crunchy on the outside. Like it's quite literally engineered to make it like super just enjoyable in your mouth, right? Whereas think back to like the 1800s to 1700s. Like people did not have access to these types of foods, right? So we have all this just like technology nowadays where we can quite literally design foods to make it as addictive as possible. And I quite honestly think that this is kind of like a evil thing to do, right? Because knowing what kind of like appeals to us in terms of the tastes, the smells, and the textures, it's like, of course, the scientists, if they want to make money, which obviously is the entire goal here, are going to design the foods to make it as addictive as possible. So you keep on buying more and more and more of it, right? So all these foods high in sugars, high in fats, and high in salt are potent triggers of your brain pleasure systems, right? And these qualities override natural hunger cues because it is very difficult to stop, like I said at the beginning of this video, at just one chip or at one maybe small little cookie. Like it always turns into a handful of cookies, a handful of chips, right? And it's very easy to kind of stop yourself after having just one small little bite, right? Because we all know that only one small little, maybe spoon of ice cream turns into the entire pint, right? Or one small little slice of pizza can turn into the entire pie of pizza. And so dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter that drives reward-seeking behavior in our body, triggers this. So whenever we eat super hyper palatable foods, we obviously get a spike in dopamine, and it's almost like this thing where we just want to keep on eating more and more and more and more of it, right? And so eating these palatable foods spikes your dopamine, which makes us want to repeat the behavior, which is being reinforced, right? Because we constantly want to seek this pleasure in our body. And here's the dangerous part. Even when you're full, we continue to eat simply just for pleasure. Like this goes beyond feeling of fullness. Like in an ideal world, we'd stop eating whenever we feel full, but it's very difficult to do, especially with these types of foods. So I grew up in the Netherlands as a very chubby kid. I always had self-esteem issues. I was very insecure by myself. I would be scared to take off my shirt in public, even in front of my friends as well. And I was just kind of like living in the shell for most of my childhood years. What made things even worse is that at the age of 11, my family and I decided to move from the Netherlands, which is a small country in Europe, to Canada, the second largest country in the world, located inside of North America. And the reason I bring this up is because the food culture from Europe compared to North America, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but it is drastically different. Like, yes, sure, in Europe they have regular junk food, of course, but the way they make their foods is completely different towards the way people make the food in North America. Don't even get me started with the different types of food they have here. Like as a kid growing up, my day of eating would be a sugary bowl of cereal, for breakfast, and then as a snack I'd have like a muffin or a cake, and then for lunch I'd have like Nutella sandwiches, and then I'd come home from school, I'd have a handful of chocolate covered raisins, and then for dinner I'd make whatever my mom would make. I'd always go for seconds, sometimes even thirds as well, and then I'd always go for dessert, right? And then when I moved to Canada, I pretty much continued on doing that. But now I was exposed to so much more food, right? It's like I was eating pizza pops, which is something I'd never even heard of or seen before in Europe, right? I was eating toaster waffles for breakfast. I'm like, wow, I can toast up some waffles for breakfast. This is crazy, right? And I was just exposed to this new world of just like food, right? And obviously me coming from a chubby background, I'm like, I am in heaven right now, right? So that definitely made matters worse. And on top of that, they were so addictive where I'd have multiple of these foods in one sitting, right? I'd have ice creams, I'd have it's just all these small little things, right? And so that only made matters worse when I moved to North America, when I was just bombarded by all these just like more junk and sugary foods. And I remember very vividly whenever I went to the first ever grocery store in Canada, I think we went to Walmart and we walked past the cereal aisle, and my jaw literally dropped. It felt like I was in a candy store because all the cereals I've never even seen before, Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, Crisp Ahoy, or Chips Ahoy, something like that. It's like Cookie Crisps. Like it was just unreal, and I just felt like I was in Candyland. And so that's definitely made me just like want to continue on eating. And I can definitely tell as a young kid growing up in this modern world, it can be very, very difficult to kind of like just have a good balance and to kind of stop yourself from that, right? So I definitely had to go through a really difficult transition period, which I'll explain kind of like later on how you can overcome this. But yeah, it was very, very difficult for me. And like I said, the modern food environment nowadays, and it's only going to get worse and worse, right? These food companies are only going to get smarter and smarter. You're only going to get more and more data from us, and they'll figure out more ways that they can continue on giving us more and more food that we just continuously want to keep eating, right? So these ultra processed foods are very just easy to access to because they're quite literally everywhere. They're quick, they're cheap, and they're rewarding. And this abundance plus our brain chemistry of dopamine is an absolute recipe for poor dietary control, right? Portion distortion and mindless snacking become the new norm. Now, we have to keep in mind that these individual differences do exist, so not everyone responds to the same, right? Some have higher reward sensitivity, and this obviously comes down to your genetics, your lifestyle, and then also your upbringing. Like I explained, my upbringing was obviously just me being surrounded by junk food, whereas I also know some people, right, who just genetically don't have a big appetite. I sometimes kind of like envy my friends when I was a kid growing up, right? I'm like, how are you still so skinny? Like I mean, granted, I was still eating a lot more, but they were eating the same foods, but they were just eating a lot less of those foods. But yeah, there's some genetic outliers where they're completely content by just having one pizza, right? Whereas me, on the other hand, I'd go for the entire pie of pizza, right? So I'd always like envy those people, but that to me just comes down to genetics and lifestyle and also your upbringing as well. And so here's some potential strategies that you can start implementing right away. So if you notice that you suffer from continuously keep eating all this junk food and you're just bombarded by all this food, here are some things that you can do right away. And these are things that I personally did to overcome this, right? So I'm not just like saying, hey, do this, do that. Like, no, these are things that I do and that I also preach to all my clients to do as well. So number one, be aware of trigger foods. So you have to be fully aware of what foods trigger what response in your body. If you're just aimlessly, mindlessly eating food every single day, well, first of all, start keeping track of it, right? So have a food log, have a food journal, and write down exactly how you feel after eating each and every food, right? After you're done eating a burger, write down exactly how you feel and your hunger response. Do you feel hungry or do you feel satisfied? After eating a bowl of oatmeal, do you feel nice and satisfied or do you want to eat even more, right? And compare that to maybe eating a bowl of sugary cereal, right? See how your kind of like hunger responds to that. So number one, be aware of food triggers. Now, once you know certain food triggers, a couple of things that you can do is number one, either avoid it altogether. So get rid of it in your house, or try to lock it up or just hide it. When it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So for example, if you know that Oreos, you just can't stop eating them, and you know that one Oreo always turns into multiple Oreos, if not the entire sleeve of Oreos, then I would highly recommend either getting rid of it altogether, which I know for some people is not always going to be a thing that you can do if you're living in like a big household with like a family, or if you have kids that want to eat them. So for me, when I used to live back with my parents, I simply could not do that. Like I couldn't just tell my mom, "Hey mom, can you just stop buying cookies for the rest of the family?" Because I selfishly cannot control myself. Like that sounds like a really just neurotic thing to say and to do. So of course that is going to not be on the table for me, right? So what I had to do instead is I said, "Okay, mom, you can continue on buying the cookies because I know my brothers enjoy eating them and it doesn't really affect them too much. And I know you eating junk, you like eating some sweets here and there too, and my dad does too. So instead, can you just try to either lock it up or at least at the very least just like hide it from me, just so I don't see it, right?" And then in itself, because it was out of sight, it was out of mind, and that helped tremendously. Tip number two is eat more whole, natural, single ingredient foods. And now I know what you're saying, Conan, but that is boring. I don't like doing that. Don't get me wrong. I said the exact same thing. When I first transitioned into eating only junk foods to eating at least a bit more natural foods, I was like, what the heck is this? I'm eating like just like single ingredient foods. Like, why am I doing this? This isn't as tasty. And don't get me wrong, it is going to suck in the first couple of days, if not weeks, of you doing this. But here's the thing, we tend to crave the foods that we eat the most. And so if right now you're always eating junk food, it is no surprise that you're constantly craving junk food, right? Whereas if you go through this transition period and you swap out mainly these processed foods for minimally processed foods, so once again, just think of foods that only have one ingredient in them, compare French fries that have multiple ingredients and are highly processed versus russet potatoes, right? The russet potato only has one ingredient, whereas French fries have multiple ingredients. Chicken nuggets versus chicken breast. Chicken breast only has one ingredient. Chicken nuggets have multiple ingredients, right? So stick to mainly single ingredient foods. And now what you'll notice is that over time, yes, it's going to suck, but because you tend to eat more of these foods now, you're going to start craving more of these foods. And I'm in a position in my life right now where I just crave eating healthy, right? If you guys watch my Instagram stories or my Snapchat stories, you're probably thinking to yourself, how is this guy so disciplined? You have so much willpower. How can you eat so much just like healthy food all the time? All these fruits, these veggies, these lean proteins, these whole grains, these healthy fats. How do you do it, Cohen? Like, I am not special, like at all. Like I told you, I was a fat kid growing up. So if I can do it, you can do it too. And like I said, now I'm at a point where I don't even crave these junk foods anymore. Like I don't even think about it anymore. If you were to tell me, "Hey Conan, for breakfast, would you rather have your regular bowl of oatmeal with protein powder and berries or this sugary bowl of cereal?" 10 times out of 10, I'm going to go for the bowl of protein oatmeal. Not only because I enjoy the taste a lot more of it, I know the way I feel afterwards, I'm going to feel amazing. I'm going to feel fueled up. I'm going to have no cravings after. I'm going to feel nice and energized. Whereas I know after eating that bowl of sugary cereal, my blood sugar is going to spike. I'm going to have a big spike in energy. And then I know I'm going to have a dip afterwards as well. I'm going to feel like absolute garbage, right? So you'll also start to realize that eating these processed foods are gonna make you feel like absolute crap afterwards, right? And this is only something that you're gonna be aware of once you make the transition. Because if you're only used to eating junk food all the time, you're used to feeling like crap all the time. So you have nothing to compare it to. Whereas if you transition to eating more healthy food, at least for a couple of days, you'll notice right away that once you go back to eating junk food again, you're gonna feel like absolute dog crap afterwards, right? So that's the second thing. Eat more whole, natural, single ingredient foods. I always preach the 80-20 rule, so you don't have to be extreme with this. Just 80% of the time, make sure you eat the healthy foods, and then 20% of the time, you can still indulge in some of the junk food that you want. Number three, focus on more fiber, protein, and healthy fats to reduce cravings. These specific foods in specific will help you stay nice and full, so you won't have all these cravings to constantly want to eat. Specifically, protein, it's the most satiating macronutrient out of all of the three macronutrients, which means it takes a bit longer for your body to break down and digest compared to carbohydrates and fats. Healthy fats as well, they digest a bit slower in your body. And fiber too. It's going to make sure that the digestion process is going to be nice and smooth for you as well. Make sure you drink a ton of water with these foods as well. And then last thing here, and this is something that I'm still guilty of nowadays, but that is practice portion control. I'm good with, but mindful eating. So, and a lot of people nowadays, they just mindlessly snack on foods. They'll watch a YouTube video, they'll watch TV, and just mindlessly snack on a bag of nuts, on a bag of chips, on popcorn, and without even realizing how many calories they're actually consuming, right? So whenever you do eat, try to just be mindful, be present, look at the food you're eating, and really make sure that you just chew all of it. Make sure it turns into like a liquid in your mouth, so it's like fully chewed, and then so you can fully digest it, right? So try to sit down somewhere, be present, be mindful, instead of just like aimlessly snacking on foods every now and then. So the final takeaways here, understanding the science behind cravings will help you build better habits, right? So having high awareness equals power, because without any awareness, with you just aimlessly, mindlessly going through life eating junk food all the time, you're going to feel powerless and you don't really know how to fix it, right? So the FBRH gives us insight into why willpower alone isn't enough, right? And now ask yourself this question. Have you ever noticed cravings spike with certain foods, right? It's like after eating some French fries, do you notice your cravings go up versus eating a russet potato? Do you notice your cravings go up, or do you notice your cravings actually go down afterwards, right? And so what small changes can you make today to reduce your rewards-driven eating? Comment below or share with someone who struggles with this. And if you need help losing 30 to 50 pounds in the next 6 months, what you can do is schedule a free consultation with me down below. We'll basically go over your biggest goals, go over your biggest struggles, and create a game plan together to help you absolutely crush them in the next couple of months. I'll see you there. Peace.